All right, so like I promised, April 1st, MLB season predictions for 2022. That's what's happening in today's video. 2022 Major League Baseball season predictions. This includes the World Series. This includes my regular season predictions. All that in today's video. But before I get into this video, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn notifications because this is the place to be on baseball YouTube for great baseball content throughout the MLB season. The off season's over and it's time for the MLB season. So let's go ahead and get into this video. Starting off in the American League East, per normal, we will start off in 5th place with the Baltimore Orioles. I'm sorry, Orioles fans, another dreaded year in 5th place. The Orioles have a very exciting future with Adley Rutschman and Grayson Rodriguez coming up, but this year they will be the worst team in the AL East by far. A very competitive division, probably the best division in baseball, if we're being honest. Cedric Mullins and Trey Mancini are some very good players, along with John Means in their starting rotation. But their starting rotation is maybe the worst in Major League Baseball. When Jordan Lyles is your number 2, you're definitely doing something wrong. Their bullpen's pretty terrible as well. The Orioles are a clear 5th place team in the American League East. In 4th place, this is one that's already going to get people riled up, New York Yankees. The Yankees are a 4th place team. I don't know what this doesn't make sense to people, but the Yankees are a 4th place team. The Yankees just simply are not better than the 3 teams above them. The Yankees made one big move this offseason, and that was really it, being the Josh Donaldson and the Isaiah Kiner-Falefa trade this offseason, and that was literally it. As far as what they did this offseason, they did nothing else. They basically kept their team the same, and I'm not really very hyped up about this starting rotation. Cole, of course, is going to be good, but he seems to choke in the biggest of moments. Severino, this guy's been injury prone. Jameson Taillon, same thing. And Cortez isn't that great either. And Montgomery's a solid too. But this starting rotation is nowhere near good, I'll say that. And their lineup still has a lot of strikeout problems. I mean, a 3-4 of Gallo and Stanton is strikeout heaven as far as there. And who knows if Aaron Judge will get an extension either. They didn't make a lot of moves this offseason. 4th place, New York Yankees. In 3rd place, I've got the Boston Red Sox. The Red Sox, they had an interesting offseason. Of course, traded Hunter Renfroe and Jackie Bradley for Jackie Bradley Jr., basically. But did end up signing Trevor Story, which is the better player out of all 3, or of anybody really involved in that trade, and signed some veteran starters as well. So their lineup looks really good heading into 2022. One of the best in Major League Baseball, actually. You've got Hernandez, Devers, Bogarts, Martinez, Story, Verdugo, Dahlback, Vasquez, and Jackie Bradley Jr. I mean, that's one of the best lineups in baseball. Now, their starting rotation, it's less than good, I'll say that. Their bullpen, though, I do think is underrated. I think that they've got some solid arms in that bullpen that are actually going to be really solid for them. And Paxton and Sale will be guys that they're going to get back towards some point in the season. I think Pavetta's really going to break out this year. Pavetta or Houck one's going to really prove and solidify themselves this year. And, yeah, that's why I've got the Red Sox in 3rd place. And in 2nd place, I've got the Toronto Blue Jays. This might be a shocker to many here. And I love the Blue Jays. They are one of my favorite AL teams. And they're going to be one of my favorite AL teams to watch this year. But the simple thing is, I think that their bullpen's going to hurt them a lot this year. In the regular season, I think that it is going to hurt them quite a bit. They really don't have any good relievers besides Tim Mazza and Jordan Romano, to be honest, and maybe Trevor Richards. Yes, their starting rotation's possibly the best in baseball. I think Kikuchi's going to have a big breakout year this year. And you've got Barrios, Gosman, Hyun-Jin Ryu, Manoah, and Kikuchi. And your lineup, of course, is one of the best in baseball as well for a team who added Matt Chapman, who posted 31 20 home runs last year. This is a really, really good lineup. I mean, you're looking at Springer, Bichette, Guerrera, Hernandez, Gurriel, Chapman, Kirk, Biggio, and Jansen. I think that they do need a little more relief pitching help, but the team above them simply is just hard to beat in the regular season. And in 1st place, that's the Tampa Bay Rays. The Tampa Bay Rays have surprised everybody the last couple of years. And I think they continue to do that in 2022. They got 100 wins last year. I really liked what they did yesterday in getting Harold Ramirez from the Chicago Cubs. I thought that was a really good idea for them. like I said, the Rays always manage to shock people of how good they are each season, and I think they will continue to do this in 2022 and beyond. I love the offseason edition of Corey Kluber as well. The Rays always do something crazy with pitchers, and Kluber already being a two-time Cy Young Award winner and already solidifying himself as one of the best pitchers in baseball when there. Their offense is quite impressive as well, with Brandon Lau, Wander Franco, who just earned a massive extension for a guy that's only played half a season. You've got Austin Meadows, Randy Arozarena, and a bunch of really good underrated players in that lineup. Their pitching is what sets themselves, of course, apart from other teams in their division, as well as their bullpen being arguably the best in baseball. With their bullpen, I mean, you've got Kittredge, you've got Fairbanks, you've got Chargos, you've got Fierson, you've got Whistler, you've got everybody you could want in that bullpen. And yeah, I've got them in first place. And let's go ahead to the AL Central. In fifth place, I've got the Kansas City Royals. Pretty obviously here, the Royals are not a good team. You've still got Salvador Perez and some decent players there. But the Royals are nowhere near a good team and a team that will be competing in 2022. In fourth place, I have the Cleveland Guardians. I really think that this Guardians team is going to have the year in 2022 that's kind of that, blow up year almost. Because this team does have some solid players. Their lineup, though, is overall awful. I mean, their lineup is really bad. I mean, besides Jose Ramirez, Franmil Reyes, and maybe Rosario and Bobby Bradley, if he could put up a little better numbers, then this lineup is pretty bad. Of course, their pitching is what carries them every year, but their bullpen is nowhere near good, minus really Emmanuel Clase, who's one of the better relievers in baseball. That's about it, to be honest. And brutally honestly, their starting rotation, it's solid, but it's nothing that's, going to make me think that they're going to win the World Series or anything. In third place, I have the up-and-coming Minnesota Twins. Of course, the Minnesota Twins had a crazy offseason. They extended Byron Buxton for 7 years, $100 million. They traded for Sonny Gray, of course, and obviously the big addition of signing Carlos Gray. Now, their lineup, I think, is one of the best in Major League Baseball, of course. You've got Buxton, Arias, Correa, Polanco, Sano, Kepler, Gary Sanchez, Gio Urshela, Alex Kirilloff. You've got one of the better lineups in baseball, but the rotation is just so bad that it's going to be hard for them to win the AL Central. I mean, when Dylan Bundy is your number 2 in your rotation, unless he's pitching like he was in 2020, this is just not a good rotation at all. It's probably one of the worst in Major League Baseball. I do think they'll give this Minnesota Twins team a couple years. They'll be really, really good. In second place is the Detroit Tigers. I really love what the Detroit Tigers are doing with their team. With A.J. Hinch being his first year managing last year, I thought that he did an exceptionally well job with this team for what he had, finishing 77 and 85. I thought that he had a really good season. And they, of course, brought in Javier Baez this offseason and are going to be having those top prospects coming up like Spencer Torkelson, Riley Green, which we have high hopes for. And you've got the starting pitching rotation, which I think is going to only get better in 2022 with adding Eduardo Rodriguez and, of course, Casey Mize, Tariq Skubal there. I think that that's only getting better as well, and you'll have Spencer Turnbull coming back. I think that this Tigers team is ready to compete, and they may not be making the playoffs this year, but in a couple of years, you're talking a team that's going to make the playoffs. And in first place, again, the Chicago White Sox. The White Sox, of course, are the best team in this division still after losing Carlos Rodon and not having too great of an offseason, if we're being honest. This Chicago White Sox team is still the best team in the American League Central. Pretty obviously. I mean, their lineup's one of the best in baseball. Tim Anderson, Luis Robert, Jose Abreu, Yohan Moncada, Eloy Jimenez, Yasmani Grandal, Gavin Sheets. I mean, you're looking at one of the best lineups in baseball. Their starting rotation is still good, even though they did lose Carlos Rendon. You still have Lance Lynn, Lucas Giolito, and Dylan Cease, Dallas Keuchel, and looks like Kopech is going to start again. And their bullpen's the best in baseball, in my opinion, the way it looks right now. I mean, you've got Hendricks, Kimbrel, Aaron Bummer, Kendall Graveman, Garrett Crochet. I mean, this is at least 5 guys that are going to be under a 4 ERA, I think, in 2022, and you still have Joe Kelly coming back. I mean, this is the best bullpen in baseball, in my opinion. And let's go ahead and head over to the American League West. In fifth place, I have the Oakland Athletics. Of course, they tore up everything this offseason, everything but their stadium, basically. And this is a team in the Athletics that's just not good. They just, everybody they had is gone. Olsen's gone, Chapman's gone, everybody's gone. I mean, besides Sean Murphy, that's about all they have left. And Sean Manaea and Frankie Montas. This is a bad team. I'm not even going to talk about them for much longer. In fourth place, the Texas Rangers. The Rangers obviously had a big offseason, bringing in Marcus Semien and Corey Seager, which were some big moves for them, but their pitching is still very, very bad. It's not good at all. I mean, when John Gray's your ace in your rotation, something's just not going right there, and your bullpen's pretty horrific too. This is a team in the Rangers, of course, Hernandez and Lyric maybe are going to be coming back. Who knows? Both off Tommy John, though. Really good lineup here. It's just the fact that they have absolutely no pitching. And similar thing in third place to the Los Angeles Angels. The Angels, of course, have a great lineup, but one key thing for the Angels in 2022 will be whether Mike Trout can stay healthy or not. Because Mike Trout has not been able to stay healthy these last couple of years, and that's been a big loss for them. But, I mean, their lineup, like I said, if you're looking like top 4, top 5, we're talking best in baseball here. I mean, you're looking at Ohtani, Trout, Walsh, and Rendon as your top 4 there. That's really, really good. And Odell hopefully will break out for them. Their rotation still is very iffy. Syndergaard has had the injury bug quite a bit. Sandoval's been decent. Ohtani, he's only going to be pitching so much with him providing all he can hitting as well. I think that their bullpen has gotten a lot better, though, to where the bullpen is less of a worry. You brought in Aaron Loop and Ryan Tepper this offseason. I thought were some good moves. I think that this is really a team that could be competing, and I think if their starters can prove to be, decent at least, then I think that this is the team that really can compete. In second place, as much as I wanted to put them in first, the Seattle Mariners. I mean, the Mariners, I think they're going to be such a good team. This is a team that won 90 games and clearly got better in 2022. I mean, you brought in Jesse Winker, who's one of the best overall hitters in baseball, Eugenio Suarez, who's still going to provide a lot of power, and you brought in Robbie Ray, who was the American League Cy Young last year. And this is really a team that I like in the Seattle Mariners. And I was very much so contemplating putting them in first place. But I don't think I can just yet. Of course, you've got J-Rod that's going to be coming up. Novelli Martinez, or Marte, excuse me. Emerson Hancock, George Kirby, they're all going to be coming up. And this is a great team in the Seattle Mariners. They're going to be winning many World Series. And the next, I would say through 2030, they'll have a couple World Series under their belt. And in first place for yet another year, the Houston Astros. The Astros are still just a very good team. There's nothing else that I need to say much about them. Yes, sure, they lost Carlos Correa this offseason, but they still bring back a multi-time Cy Young and Justin Verlander back to a team that just went to the World Series. And this is still a team that is very good. I don't expect the loss of Carlos Correa to slow them down too much. As good of a player as Carlos Correa was, their lineup very good. Altuve, Brantley, Bregman, Alvarez, Yuli Gurriel, Kyle Tucker. Great lineup there. And their starting rotation, of course, you have Verlander, Valdez, Garcia, Jose Accordi, and Jake Odorizzi. And their bullpen is pretty solid as well. We'll lose a pretty big piece in Kendall Graveman. But yeah, this Astros team, still definitely a team that is going to be very good. Let's go ahead and move on to the National League West. We'll kind of switch things up a little bit. Fifth place, I've got the Arizona Diamondbacks once again. The Diamondbacks are simply just not a very good team. Still, they've traded a lot of their big pieces. They're working on an extension for Ketel Marte, but still, fifth place for them. In fourth place is the Colorado Rockies, who have gotten a lot better this offseason getting Chris Bryant and stuff. It's just, will the Rockies in Colorado ever be a contender? I don't know this answer, but I think it's going to be hard with there just being no starters that want to go there, no pitchers at all that can perform that well there. This is just not a team that's gonna ever have good pitching at all. Simple enough. I mean, their bullpen's horrific. Same thing with their starting rotation. I mean, as far as what Fangraphs is projecting, you're looking at 4 guys in that rotation with over a 5 ERA, which I know some of this pitching they can't help, but their pitching is awful. Their lineup's very solid. I'll give them that. They brought in Randall Grichuk as well, which I thought was a very good move. They have Blackman, Bryant, McMahon, Crone, Rogers, Grichuk. The Rockies aren't going to be too much of a contender at all. In third place is the San Diego Padres. Once again, the Tatis injuries are going to be a relevant problem for them, considering that Tatis is going to be out possibly 3 months to start the year, and they have had the injury bug for the last 2 years, and I wouldn't be surprised for this Padres team halfway through the season, they just don't perform well, that they just blow it up. I would not be surprised a bit. I mean, you're looking at a team that is significantly worse, of course, without Tatis, and their lineup is still okay. I mean, you brought in Luke Voigt this offseason, but still, this was a rather silent team this offseason. And, their pitching obviously is good. It's just got to stay healthy. And like I said, Tatis is going to be out 3 months. I would expect them to be in third place again. And in second place is the San Francisco Giants. The Giants obviously had a really good year last year, winning 107 games last year, and just had a great year last year. They lost some key components of that team, being Kevin Gausman and Buster Posey, of course. This team still is a very good team that will be very solid in 2022. They brought in Carlos Rendon, who's a very good move. 2 years, I think it was $40 million or a little more than that, and stuff. So this starting rotation is very solid. The Giants always do great things with pitchers, and I expect them to do the same thing with somebody like Alex Cobb and get him some good money after this year. And Matthew Boyd is another guy they brought in this offseason. I really like their pitching. I think that it's going to be very good, and I think that their lineup's going to be really good as well. I like the addition of Jock Peterson. This guy with World Series experience. I like the move of that, and I like their overall lineup. But I do think they will be at second place. In first place, I have the Los Angeles Dodgers. Of course, this makes perfect sense to anybody that's a real baseball fan. The Dodgers, of course, they lost Max Scherzer and Corey Seager this offseason, but what did they do to replace that? Well, they brought in Freddie Freeman, the National League MVP in 2020. And they managed to bring back Clayton Kershaw as kind of the replacement for Max Scherzer. Yeah, it wasn't much of an L for an offseason for the Dodgers, I'll say that. Their lineup, possibly the best in baseball. I mean, probably is, to be honest. I mean, you're talking Betts, Freeman, Turner, Muncy, Will Smith, Justin Turner, Chris Taylor, Cody Bellinger, and A.J. Pollock. I mean, probably the best lineup in baseball, if we're being honest. And I think Gavin Lux will be pretty solid in 2022. Their rotation is very iffy to me. Buehler, Kershaw, and Urias, of course, are good. Heaney and Anderson at the back of that rotation. I don't know if that's what you want. But, you're talking if Trevor Bauer could come back at some point and not be an idiot, then this would be something that would help them a lot. And Dustin May will come back at some point. So this Dodgers team will progressively, I think, get better throughout the season with Justin May certainly coming back and the possible coming back of Trevor Bauer. If in fifth place for the NL Central, I'm just going to move this pretty quickly. Pittsburgh Pirates, they're terrible. They have a bright future, but they're terrible right now. In fourth place, the Cincinnati Reds. They are a garbage organization. They are a stupid organization. There's no reason why you should be trading Jesse Winker and Eugenio Suarez, who are two great young players, for pennies on the dollar. They're just absolute pennies on the dollar. And now you're leaving Joey Votto just to be there and stuck on a terrible, awful team in 2022. The only reason why they're not in fifth place is because the Pirates are just that bad. Their bullpen is the worst in baseball. It's so bad. And their starting rotation is very bad as well. I mean, Castillo and Malley, they help it. They could only help it so much. And the Mike Miter for Amir Garrett trade, that made absolutely no sense. You're trying to get rid of money, and now you want to bring in $10 million more. I mean, what are they doing? I don't know. I'm sorry, Reds fans, because this is just disastrous of what they're doing. At third place, Chicago Cubs. The Cubs, I mean, I think I've proven my point through the spring that Seiya Suzuki may not be all that you were hoping for. That 5-year, $85 million might have not been it, especially with the comments he made the other day. I'm just saying. But, I still think that Suzuki's going to be at least a solid player for them. And, so their lineup, it's okay. It's nothing special. I mean, you got Contreras, Happ, and Suzuki there, and their rotation's pretty bad. Besides Marcus Stroman, and Kyle Hendricks is kind of solid as well, and Wade Miley, I guess. Like I said, another team that's just their bullpen's really, really bad. It's just bad. I mean, it's simple. In second place is the St. Louis Cardinals for the second year in a row probably that they've been in second place. This Cardinals team is a team that I really think that they did make some good under-the-radar moves this offseason. Their lineup really is very good. I mean, I think that, to be honest, Arenado is going to be way better. Going to be off that injury stuff. They have the best outfield in baseball with O'Neill, Bader, and Carlson in that outfield. And I really want to see what Juan Yepes is going to do. I really want to see him get some time at DH because he's a really, really good player. And their starting rotation, I think, is going to be better than a lot of people expect, considering Flaherty's going to be coming back. He'll maybe be ready for the regular season. Who knows? Flaherty's going to be, I mean, you're going to be looking at a rotation of Flaherty, Wainwright, Michaelis, Steven Matz, and Dakota Hudson. I think that that's a really good rotation there. Their bullpen is very iffy. That's been their problem the last couple of years. It's been their bullpen. Their bullpen just has not been it. It's blown them a lot of games. I think that they did need to make a bullpen move, but I still think that they finished in second place. And in first place, it's going to be the Milwaukee Brewers. The Brewers clearly, I think, are the best team in this division. The Brewers have proved to kind of not be that good in the playoffs, but still are very good in the regular season. I really want to see what Christian Yelich is going to do this year. This guy that's kind of underperformed the last couple of years, or really underperformed, and I really want to see what he's going to do. I want to see what Willie Adames is going to do as well. He was one of the biggest breakout players of the 2021 season, what he'll do in 2022. And I think that this lineup is getting better. I think that the addition of Renfroe was pretty good as well. I think that this team is getting better. It's just, their pitching, of course, is very good. It's one of the best top threes in baseball. I mean, Burns, Woodruff, Peralta, and Hauser, and Lawler, one of the best in baseball. Projected bullpen, you've got Hader, Williams, Boxberger. I mean, you're looking at a really good pitching overall as well. If their lineup can perform and if they can do well in the playoffs, obviously the NL is going to be tough to compete in, but still, I think that this team in the Brewers is still a team that can do some damage. And now let's head over to the National League East. And the National League East, in fifth place, the Washington Nationals. Of course, they made the addition of Nelson Cruz this offseason to add to a lineup of Juan Soto. And there's going to be a lot of baseballs flying out of National Park, of course. But this is just not a team that right now is going to be doing much. I think that they do have a pretty bright future, but just not right now. In fourth place is the Miami Marlins. I think that the Marlins are, I think in any other division they would probably be better than a fourth place team. But this shows how tough the National League East is. They've lost 95 games in 2021, but are much better, much improved. Love the addition of Jorge Soler, bringing him in. Avisail Garcia as well is a great move. And, Joey Wendell, I think, is a good move as well. Their rotation's one of the best in baseball. Especially, I mean, you've got Alcantara, Lopez, Rogers, Luzardo, Eliezer Hernandez. Projected bullpen, I mean, you're looking at Floro, Bender, um, Blyer, who they just gave an extension to, and Sanchez. Maybe he moves to that bullpen too because he's still one of their top prospects, and they still have tons of pitching, such as Edward Cabrera and Max Meyer. That's going to be coming up. I mean, this team's going to be really good, and they're a fourth place team, but I still think that they'll be in the hunt to possibly make the playoffs in 2022. In third place, I've got the Philadelphia Phillies. The Phillies, of course, had a big offseason closer to the ending of the offseason, bringing in Castellanos and Schwarber, but this still is a team that's going to have some bullpen troubles. Their bullpen has gotten better, but it's still going to have some troubles. I mean, you brought in Knable, but it's still going to have its troubles. I mean, it's not going to be a very great bullpen, but I think it is getting better. I will say that. I think it is getting a little bit better, and I think if their bullpen, maybe one player, maybe a Familia or a Hand, could, break out a little bit, they could really be looking at a very good team. And their starting rotation, I like their starting rotation. I think that it's a very solid one. You've got Nola, Wheeler, Gibson, Suarez, and Eflin. That's a really good top five there. And as far as their starting lineup, it's one of the best in baseball. I mean, 1 through 6. We're talking some of the best in baseball, and then 7 through 9 is kind of But Schwarber, Castellanos, Harper, Realmuto, Hoskins, and Segura. And like it's been the last couple of years, the offense is going to carry the Phillies. And in second place is the New York Mets. The Mets, they obviously had a big offseason too, kind of like every team in the National League East. The Mets had a big offseason. They brought in Scherzer. They brought in just about everybody. It felt like before the lockout they were bringing in. Their rotation, the top two is the best, of course, in baseball. And their overall rotation may be the best in baseball. And, people would probably argue that it is. Because, I mean, you're talking DeGrom and Scherzer. Who wants to face that in a 3-game series or something? Who would want to face that? You're talking DeGrom, Scherzer, and Bassett. Who would want to face that? Nobody. Their bullpen is very solid as well. I mean, you're looking at a very good bullpen there as well. And you're looking at a lineup that I think is going to be much improved. You're going to have Cano back. Hopefully he can make a little bit of an impact. There's no way they can trade off that contract at this point. But their lineup, top to bottom, is a really good lineup. But the team in first place is just better, and that's the Atlanta Braves. In first place, the defending World Series champs. And they only won 88 games last year, but they're going to be getting much better. Acuna is going to be looking towards a early May return, and they brought back Eddie Rosario, who was a big piece of their team. And Ozuna is going to be coming back as well. There is a lot to be excited about. And, of course, as a Braves fan, I am very excited. And Soroka is going to be coming back at some point, too. And even Kirby Yates, who they signed this offseason, is going to be coming back. Their bullpen is looking really good this year with Jansen. Of course, you overpaid him a lot, but he's still going to be very good. They finessed McHugh out of a contract, basically. And, their starting rotation as well is very solid. Max Free, Charlie Morton, Ian Anderson, Husker Yanoa, and Soroka whenever he comes back. And the lineup, Rosario, Albies, Olsen, of course, the big addition of the offseason for the Braves. This guy that's going to be replacing Freeman and overall a better long-term option. Ozuna, Riley, Duvall, Swanson, and Darno. I mean, you're looking at a really good team here in the Atlanta Braves, and they will be finishing in first place. Let's go and look at the 6 playoff teams from each. I'm not going to make this too long, but let's start off in the AL. The number 1 seed will be the Tampa Bay Rays, of course. The number 2, Houston Astros. Both of those teams will get a bye and will not have to play in the wild card round. The White Sox will have to play the number 6 seeded Red Sox in the wild card, and the 4 seed Blue Jays will have to play the 5 seed Mariners in what should be an interesting matchup. In the National League, you've got the Braves and Dodgers. Both will get byes, being the number 1 and number 2 seed respectively. The number 3 seed will be the Milwaukee Brewers, who will have to play the 6 seed Cardinals. And the number 4 seed Mets will face the number 5 seed Giants. So, of course, it's going to be new this year, but the White Sox versus the Red Sox here, this should be a very interesting matchup. You know, two teams that are very solid. I think the White Sox do end up winning this. The White Sox are just a better overall team, and I think that the starting pitching of the Red Sox will choke a little bit here. The Mariners versus Blue Jays. I love this matchup. I think that this is going to be a really interesting matchup to watch. But you know, I'm thinking if you're talking like 3 games here, the Blue Jays just have a much better top 3 there. You're looking at Barrios, Gosman, and whoever you want to put in, Ryu or Kikuchi as your number 3. I think that that's going to be hard for the Mariners to, hit just about anything. Brewers versus Cardinals. I think that the Brewers win this one. You know, like I said, the Brewers also match up very well in this matchup in the top 3 with Woodruff, Peralta, and Burns. That's really good. The Mets versus the Giants. I think that the Mets win. And let's go ahead and head on to the NL. We've got, of course, 8 teams left now, and it basically, the playoff format just looks basically the same as it has the last who knows how many years. So the NL, we have got the number 1 Braves versus the number 4 Mets, and the number 2 Dodgers versus the number 3 Braves. The number 1 Braves versus the number 4 Mets. I think that the Braves are going to win this. I'm not being biased, but I do think that the Braves win this versus the Mets. Number 2 Dodgers versus the number 3 Brewers. I think this is going to be a really fun matchup here, but I do think that the Dodgers end up winning this. The American League, you've got the Rays versus the Blue Jays. I was talking very good about the Rays, and I do like what the Rays have going on. But they're just not a postseason team. They don't have a lot of depth as far as their starting rotation. They don't really have a go-to guy in their starting rotation at all. This is a Rays team that's just not really built for the playoffs. They're built for the regular season and to win 100 games in the regular season, but they're not for the playoffs. Blue Jays win. Number 2 Astros versus the number 3 White Sox. I think that the Astros win this. You know, like I said, as much as losing Carlos Correa hurts, they're still a very good team without him. They beat the White Sox here. And, let's say 4. And in the NL Championship Series, the number 1 Braves versus the number 2 Dodgers, and the Blue Jays and the Astros here. So let's go ahead and head on for the American League, the Blue Jays and the Astros. I really love this matchup. I think that this is going to be a very intriguing matchup. I think the Blue Jays win it in 7, though. And in the National League, we have the number 1 Braves versus the number 2 Dodgers. Why will this be a series? And in this series, I think that the Braves win it. And for the 2022 Major League Baseball World Series, I have the Toronto Blue Jays against the Atlanta Braves. And in this World Series, in 6 games, I have the Atlanta Braves winning back-to-back World Series. You know, I'm not being biased here. I genuinely think that's what's going to happen. And yeah, so we have the Blue Jays versus the Braves in the 2022 World Series with the Braves winning it again. That's the end of today's video. These predictions may be very, very wrong. Who knows? But make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn notifications. This is the place to be on Baseball YouTube for great baseball content throughout the off season, of course, and the little bit of off season that we do have left, and the MLB season. So yeah, make sure you subscribe, leave a like. Thank you for watching, and peace.